Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want
more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, Crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse
President
me,
Harris,
the
I'll
FBI
give you
they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said.
And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election.
President
They're
Trump,
fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President.
It is. It's 3 against 1. Why? I agree with you. It's 3 against 1.
Yep.
He's debating all of them, and people not paying attention to that. He literally debating all of them. I'm not gonna lie. CNN would have did a better job
Yeah,
than
basically.
NBC. I'm being honest, and I don't even like CNN. And CNN would have did a better job. They literally debating Trump. He's debating all 3 of them, and they say Kamala Harris won this debate.
No.
And
He didn't answer no questions.
She did. That was how Jalen was telling the truth. She was more focused on let me portray Trump of being the bad guy. Now, when it comes to the aspect of immigration, everybody know immigration is an issue right now within the United States. Illegal immigration, not the immigration of people doing it the right way. We talking about illegal immigration, the people that's coming over the border, the people that's affecting right now in California, that's affecting Chicago, that's affecting New York. Now, Florida's starting to have an issue as that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Texas as well.
Granted, I don't like
Jalen's in Texas, they having an issue when it comes to immigration. And I think in the Ohio immigration. So American people can see that is an issue. And like I said, Kamala Harris is in charge of the border, but nobody won't speak about it. They will sweep that underneath the rug. Let's say if Trump was in office, they all be like, Trump doing a bad job, we gotta get him out of office. He don't deserve to be next president. Go ahead, Jalen.
Granted,
Crazy.
I don't like Hot Wheels. That's what I call our governor, Greg Abbott, because he's in a wheelchair. I don't like Hot Wheels. Most Texans don't like Hot Wheels that live in, Houston and Dallas because, we're blue. But I will say when it comes to the immigrants that come here, his approach shipping them to Chicago and New York is literally the smartest shit. Because we don't have space for them here. We don't have the resources to give to them. Especially if we talk about Houston. Houston's broke.
Yep.
If we're going to be real about it, Houston's broke. We have no money to give. So why should we give it to illegal immigrants instead of the people that actually need it in our city? So yeah, ship them. Ship them somewhere else. Let other people deal with it and understand the problem with illegal immigration. these blue states, since they're so for immigrants just being here illegally, how about you deal with them? Then maybe understand what the problem is.
No, but the problem is, Jalen. Now people are starting to hate immigrants when the United States is built on immigrants.
Yeah,
Immigrants not a
I
bad
don't think you
thing,
should
but
hate
no, but people
immigrants.
are starting to hate them because you know why? Because a lot of immigrants are getting better treatment than people that actually live in the United States and they've been trying to get in Section 8 homes. Immigrants are not getting those homes. That don't even have documentation. That is crazy.
Yeah, I
And
think illegal. Yeah, I agree with you. Illegal immigrants shouldn't get that assistance. Legal immigrants, sure. Illegal
Should.
ones, they should be shipped back from whence they came.